Welcome guys. Today I'm going to cover an important topic on arrows. I will just take a very basic example that how arrows has helped us syntactically, and then some sort of example using this keyword, right? How arrow deals with this and how it is different from another normal functions. Let's just make a JS file arrow.js. Okay, let's just start off with writing a normal method guys first. So how do we write a normal method? So you have a name, that's a normal function, and it accepts probably a parameter, let's say age, and then you do console.log. Now let's print out age. Okay, and then let's say this is from normal function. Okay, and let's also catch this function in a variable. So now my this obj contains this function which logs something into the console, right? And let's create another obj1, and in here I will create a arrow function. Guys, first I will write it, then I will explain it. From arrow function. Okay, let's call both of these. First I'm going to call obj, and then I'm going to call obj1, and let's see the output. Is it same or is it different? Undefined from normal function. Okay, I just need to, okay, I'm just passing a parameter over here. Let's just say 14, and over here I'm not passing any parameter for now, but let's see how we can do that. So 14 from normal function, from arrow function. So over here guys, if you look at it, right, your code has become just a single line of statement, right? If I have to put this entire code into a single line, right, it will become really bit more messy, I would say, right? So this is how it will look like, but this is how arrow function is. So it has simplified a job for us, and it has eliminated the need to write some redundant keywords and the function definitions which we really don't need. And one such example is over here. Okay, now in order to pass parameters to an arrow function, what we can do is we can just pass like this over here, and it can be any of the parameters, and if you would print it, right, it will just print age for you as well. So you can print the age in here. Okay, so this is how you pass parameters to arrow function. Let's take it one more example. Let's say I have an array A which has 3, 4, 5, 6 elements, and all are numbers, and let's just use map. And what does a map function do? I have covered in another video as well. It basically, iterates through every element, and then you can just modify that element. For example, over here I'm going to add 1 to each element. First let's add how we used to do it in the normal function terminology. So we will create a function, name it as like add ELEs, and this will accept every element that my map iterates through. Then you're closing and opening braces, and then you're going to see I will be returning probably 1 after adding to every element. Now since map doesn't modify the original collections, so it returns a new one, so you have to catch it in a new variable. And this also I have covered in my map video. So let's log in B to the console, right? So it has added 1 to each element and has returned. Now let's see how do I do it through arrow function. That makes our life a bit more easier, guys. So a.map, for every ELE add 1 plus ELE. Done. Now in order to prove it, let's log C. Refresh. So same output, guys. What have we done now? So we have literally reduced our code just to a few words, right? And over here, if you would see, it's just a big pile of code that we had to write using a function and all. And if you see, if it is a single statement, right, and especially in these cases, it becomes really useful to have arrow function. You really do need not write return keyword. You really need not write function. You really need not write the function name as well. So the compiler will read it as, okay, it's ELE. We are catching something from the arrow function, because on the right hand side you have the function body, on the left hand side you have the parameters. So that is how arrow function reads it. Once it encounters this fat arrow, on right hand side it is the function body, on left hand side the parameters. Just read it like that. So this was, guys, a simple example on arrow function. Let's take another example on the usage of this. So I'm just going to select and comment this out for now. Now let me just create a class, test class, right? I'm going to create a constructor over there that accepts one parameter and the constructor of the class. And I'm just going to assign this dot a that parameter to my class parameter. All right. So now I'll create two functions. Let's just create a set timeout function, so which is a very basic function in JavaScript, guys. So this is my arrow syntax for set timeout. All right. So let's just put it inside a function and name it as normal method timeout being called, and then we will be printing something. So this was a simple example, guys, how arrow functions work. But let's just take another example. I'm just going to comment it for now. I'm going to create a class test, a constructor which accepts one parameter. Okay, and I'm just going to assign it. Right, now I'm going to create a normal method inside the class, right? And that normal method will call my set timeout after 1000 seconds. So over here I'm just going to console.log inside normal method, and I'm going to print this dot age. Okay, I am also going to create, now since it is a normal method, I need to change the syntax. I will make it not as an arrow function. So now I'll be use set timeout in a traditional old manner. I'm going to give it a function. So this is inside a function. Okay, so this is again inside my another function, and I'm just printing this value. Now I will have arrow function where I'm going to use set timeout as my proper arrow function. Okay, so this as well has 1000 milliseconds wait time, and we're going to print this dot age. So what basically we're doing is we have created a class, we have created a constructor, right? So when I create the object of the class, let obj of class equal to new test. I'm going to pass the value of the constructor. So let's say I'm passing 50 as initially. Then if I call this normal method on that object, and I also call my arrow method on that object, let's see what will be the output. Because once we are calling these methods, we are printing something to the console, which is this dot age, which is called on obj object. Okay, so let's just refresh it. So inside normal method undefined, inside normal method okay, so this is inside arrow method, sorry, save it and refresh it. Inside normal method it is undefined, inside arrow method it has got the value. So guys, why it happened? Now this function over here, right, so this is a normal function, this is not a arrow function, obviously. Now it is expecting that this is not implemented for me. I don't know what is this, right? So it just says like, you tell me what is this is, because it is trying to in a way it is trying to modify the implementation of this. But in terms instead arrow function, it just prints, it knows, okay, this dot age is something that we have at global level, at class level, and I have to print that. So it is not messing up with the value. So that is why they have used this statement over here, that arrow functions don't provide their own this binding. It retains the this value of the enclosing lexical context. So over here, what is enclosing lexical context is my class, right? And what is the value of this dot age over here? It's 50, but the function is giving us the error. Okay, so that is where arrow functions helps us. So that is where like we have to be careful of using the arrow functions, like where we need to use arrow function and where we need to use actual normal function, right? So this was example of, guys, in this context as well as in the context of class, right? How arrow function differentiates between the this object and the normal method, right? If you need some detailed explanation or somehow you're not able to get it in the first attempt, as you have to practice this out, you will definitely get it. But if you need some detailed explanation as well, just let me know. I'm going to make another video with another example as well, right? So thank you guys for watching. Do like and subscribe.